Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. For the last week, I've been on following Guardians games. And no, the Guardians have not won every game in the playoffs so far. They won 3, they lost 2, and then they moved on in the playoffs. However, what the Guardians do is give you excitement. They give you credibility. They give you love. They give you fun. Yes, there's frustration at times, but that's a good baseball team that does things the right way. What do we have here with the Cleveland Browns? The Cleveland Browns are the opposite of everything the Browns do. Of everything the Guardians do. The only thing the Browns get the Guardians get a positive in every column except for spending money. The Browns get a negative in every column pretty much except for spending money. And even though the Browns spend and the Guardians don't, and it's frustrating that the Guardians don't, they're still a better franchise. The Browns spend, and they're still inept. They lose again today by a final of 20-16. They've dropped 4 in a row. They're 1-5 in the season, and the season's over. I mean, it was probably over last week. The odds of them making the playoffs are almost nothing. I don't know why anybody would believe they could make the playoffs. You have to win, let's say, a minimum of 10 games to make the playoffs, which means absolute best case scenario, the Browns would have to go 9-2 to make the playoffs. Is there anybody on the planet that thinks this team is capable of going 9-2? I can't imagine there is. The Browns' offense is beyond inept, and you could blame whoever you want because they're all to blame. The coach has been terrible. Kevin Stefanski by far having his worst season. Beyond the play calling, which is questionable, and I don't – it's questionable to complain about it, and it's also questionable. It's you know, a lot of times we don't know what the play was called, and maybe it just wasn't executed right. Kevin Stefanski's time management this year has been awful. His timeout usage, which is part of time management, has been embarrassing. His lack of balance and creativity has been terrible. But he's not solely to blame. We know that. The quarterback is not good at football. I've said this a million times for the last few weeks. He has not thrown for 200 yards. This is the most inept offensive team through 6 weeks we've ever seen. Worse than the 0-16 team, worse than the 1-15 team. Let me give you this stat from Field Yates. The Browns have now become the first team in 10 years to score under 20 points in each of its first 6 games. Cleveland has now scored once in its last 29 drives. 1 touchdown in its last 29 drives offensively. And that was in garbage time last week. And that word sums up the Browns' offense. You grade Kevin Stefanski, the job he's done this year, he gets an F. You grade the job Deshaun Watson has done this year, he gets an F. You grade the wide receiving core this year, they get an F. I'll say the pass-catching core. You grade the offensive line this year, they get an F. You grade the running backs this year, they get, I'll give them a D-. How about that? So I'll give the running backs a D-. Everybody else on the offense gets an F. And, yeah, the defense played pretty well. It was probably their best game of the season. But not good enough because when the Browns tied this game at 13, the defense needed to make a stop and give the offense a chance to maybe at least get a field goal and take the lead. And then the offense collapsed on that one play. I wasn't that long a throw to Devontae Smith, but he took it to the end zone. And that play was a huge bust. The secondary had been playing pretty well for the most part. I know you had the A.J. Brown touchdown in the first half. But then Devontae Smith makes that play. And then after the team has to settle for a field goal because their one trip to the red zone did not pay off in a touchdown, and you're looking at a score of 20-16 after the Eagles scored and the Browns got that field goal, there was still plenty of time left on the clock, but the Browns could not force a punt. So, yes, the offense is mostly to blame. And, yes, the defense overall played pretty well in this game, but not well enough. This was supposed to be a great defense. They didn't play great today. They played good today. They played better today. They get way less of the blame than the offense, but they're not immune. The play to Devontae Smith, and the final drive not stopping him and giving the offense at least a chance, that's on them. That's on the defense. After yet another penalty by that bum Jed Wills, the Browns had to settle for a field goal try, thinking they would get the ball back one more time, and they did not. They did not. So who played well for the Browns in this game? I thought Pierre Strong did a nice job. Those of you who know me know I've liked this guy for a while. I thought when he's gotten an opportunity, he's played pretty well. He doesn't get much of an opportunity. I know he's not a great blocker, but he had 10 touches in this game for 78 yards. That's pretty darn good. Outside of that, I got nothing good to say about anybody else on offense. Defensively, Rodney McLeod playing against his former team had a good job. He was the one who scored the touchdown on the blocked field goal. Myles Garrett was obviously magnificent. He does what he can. He had 2 tackles for a loss, and a sack. But he didn't have a sack. Sorry, 2 tackles for a loss, and he blocked the field goal, jumping over the line again. He played great. I thought the secondary, outside of that one big play, played pretty well. JOK played well as always. Rodney McLeod, again, filling in, did a nice job. That's about it. The rest of the defensive line pretty much, didn't do much for the rest of the day. And the offense just awful across the board outside of Pierre Strong. I'll give Pierre Strong a solid B for today. The offensive line gets an F for today. I gave you the season-long grades. Offensive line gets an F. Stefanski gets an F. Deshaun Watson gets an F. Don't tell me about his 8 for 8 or 9 for 9 in the second half. I don't want to hear about it. It was all the offense scored 9 points, 3 field goals. They were in the red zone one time. I don't care that he was 9 for 9 at one point in the second half. And they wouldn't have had one of those field goals. He threw in the first half when they ended up getting that field goal. The only reason they got the field goal is because those 2 Eagles defensive backs collided into each other on an all-time bad throw by Watson that should have been easily picked. That was a hideous throw. Had his man deep. Missed David Njoku for a dump-off pass wide open. Held the ball too long yet again. F. F for Stefanski. F for the offensive line. Running backs, I give him a B minus overall, but a B plus for Pierre Strong. I think I said B originally. Pass catchers, not much of anything. David Njoku, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy combined for 10 yards, for 10 catches for 108 yards. Cooper had another drop, and that was really a bad throw, too, by Watson, because Amari Cooper was wide open on that play. But Cooper still should have caught it. I mean, he had to jump, but it hit him in the hands. I mean, you got to make that play. It was a bad throw by Watson, but a bad play by Cooper. Jeudy, I mean, he had the one play where there was nobody near him, and he got 35 yards. Otherwise, he was a no-show. David Njoku, but he was okay. He was fine. Everybody else sucked. And, it was a close game. They covered the spread, if you care about such things. But they're just not a good football team. I think I was the only one on UCSS that did not pick the Browns to make the playoffs, but I didn't think they'd be anywhere close to this bad. I picked them to finish 9-8 and just finish out of the playoffs. They're not going to even sniff 9-8. It's just, and think about this. Think about that. Basically, your quarterback, your coach have been terrible. Deshaun Watson's arguably the worst quarterback in the league. Kevin Stefanski's done as bad a coaching job as any coach in the league this year. And you haven't even played a good defense yet. Just think about that for a minute. All 6 defenses they've played are not good, especially against the pass. They've played 6 defenses that are in the bottom 12 of the league in terms of pass defense. And they still can't get any yardage. Deshaun Watson has not even thrown for 200 yards. I mean, how pathetic is that? Against 6 of the 12 worst pass defenses in the league. And they're bottom 12, even with playing against Watson, who did nothing against all of those teams. And they're playing another bad defense next week against the Bengals. Their defense stinks too. But after that, then they're going to start playing teams that actually play defense. And by the way, Kevin Stefanski already said that Deshaun Watson is still the quarterback. We're 1-5. We own it. What the fuck does that mean? Please tell me Kevin, I've been one of your biggest supporters. You sound like an ass. He sounds like a real ass. We own that? What the hell does that mean? What is that? We own it. You suck. I don't want to hear about his coach of the years anymore. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. They don't mean anything. I don't give a rat's ass about his coach of the years. Deshaun Watson, 6 games without even throwing for 200 yards. I mean, think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. That's just crazy. He's played 6 games this year. He has, let's see, what was his total yards today? He threw for 168. So Deshaun Watson, 168, has thrown for 1,020 yards in 6 games. 1,020 yards. It's 6 games. Oh, my God. He's on pace to throw for under 3,000 yards. That is pathetic. He's worse than yards per attempt in the league. He's basement at QBR. He's basement at quarterback rating. He's lucky he didn't have a turnover today. He's averaging less than 1 touchdown per game. He's averaging over 1 turnover per game. He's completing about 60% of his passes. Awful. Awful. What can I say good about him? I can't. Kevin Stefanski again using timeouts before the 2-minute warning. This happened last week. This is a serious question, okay? I want you to right now, if you're in the chat, I'm looking right now. If you've seen the movie, the original, not the newer ones, which are great, but if you've seen the movie, the original Planet of the Apes, give me a thumbs up or some way of acknowledging right now in the chat if you've seen the original movie Planet of the Apes. I want to see what percentage of the audience here has seen that movie. Yes, a thumbs up. All right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right, we're going. You've all seen it. Remember when Charlton Heston's character, like he finds his buddy, Dalton? Was it Dalton? Was that his name? And you see that scar on his head because the apes gave him the lobotomy. Then he finally, when he's able to talk, take your filthy paws off me, you dang dirty ape. Do we all remember? The scar on the head, lobotomy. We need to carefully. We got to get somebody on this. I don't know if it's Jason Lloyd, Zach Jackson, Mary Kay Cabot, Darryl Ryder. We have to get somebody on this assignment. I am concerned that somebody, maybe it was the apes, maybe the orangutans or the gorillas got free from the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo. I think that's possible. And maybe they gave Kevin Stefanski a lobotomy. We have to get some of the beat reporters. This is the biggest story. This is the biggest story maybe in the history of Browns football. We have to check on Kevin Stefanski. Maybe it's under his hair. Maybe they've cut into his head. I don't know, because this guy went from being one of the smartest guys in football, and he's coming off like a complete dope. Yes, Victor, I think he might have been lobotomized. Maybe it was Deshaun Watson's quarterback coach that did it. I don't know. Is that possible? Did Quincy Avery lobotomize Kevin Stefanski in some, it sounds like a movie. Because Kevin Stefanski seems like he has no clue what he's doing. We know the quarterback has no clue what he's doing. No clue. Meanwhile, I hate to say it, but Joe Flacco and Baker Mayfield both won again. Not that I think either one should really be here. Well, Flacco should. But Baker, I don't think would have ever played this well here. We'll never know, right? Now, Baker threw 3 picks today, but he also threw 4 touchdowns and the team scored 50 points. If Deshaun Watson threw 4 touchdowns and the team scored 50 points, I wouldn't care that he threw 3 picks. We have right now a coach who seems completely inept. And listen, I still wouldn't fire him. I understand why a lot of people want him fired because he's coaching like he's been lobotomized. But I don't want him fired. I think he's having a bad season. I think there's something else to it that we don't know. Maybe it's the owner. We have the worst owner in the league. I mean, everything he touches turns to shit. And I said last week we got to call the team the shit stains, and that's probably appropriate again because that's what they're playing like. So maybe the defense doesn't deserve to be called that. But this is as bad an offense as we've seen. And it's hard to believe with all the money that they have spent on this team. And for what? Who's earning their paycheck on the offense? Is anybody? Anybody earning their paycheck? And I don't care. I'm not begrudging them what they make. I don't care how much you pay who. But is anybody defending it? Or earning it? No. And I'm not going to listen to this nonsense. I'll listen. But I don't this nonsense about no quarterback can succeed with this team and no. Nah, that's not true. I don't believe that for a minute. I'm not telling you that some of these other quarterbacks around the league would be as good as they are in this situation. I'm not going to say that. But most of them would be better than Deshaun Watson. He is, again, has faced 6 bad passing defenses, has not had a single – he's had one – I'll give him one good game. He's played one good game, in my opinion, out of 6. Certainly wasn't today. He can't get in the end zone. He's thrown almost no touchdowns, certainly almost no key moment touchdowns. They've almost all been garbage time. He's not the athlete he was. He has no ability to read a defense. He is hesitant. He plays scared. The wide receivers have been a huge bust. They paid all this money for Jerry Jeudy. He is obviously just the guy he was in Denver. Why on earth would they have extended Jerry Jeudy? I mean, think about how stupid that was. And by the way, when I said it at the time that it was stupid, a lot of fans were arguing with me. And ultimately, like I said, the one thing that Jimmy does is he spends money, and he doesn't care. He doesn't seem to care that his money gets wasted. He has so much money, he's like, what the fuck? Let's spend more money. Or maybe it's the son-in-law. Maybe he's doing this. I don't know what's happening, but they don't seem to care. So if they want to waste money on Jerry Jeudy, like they're wasting money on Deshaun Watson, so be it. The only thing I can say positive about the Browns is that maybe we'll get to see Nick Chubb play next week, which means the offense should have a little more life because Nick Chubb will play well. He's always played great against the Bengals, and the Bengals defense stinks. So if I would think he'd have a good first game back. It's a good game for him to come back against an inept defense. So I'm looking forward to watching Nick Chubb play. I would be happy, but you can't give him the ball. I was going to say I'd be happy if they gave him the ball 30 times and Deshaun Watson never threw it. And here's what I don't understand. Like, Deshaun Watson is clearly not a starting quarterback in the NFL at this point. It doesn't mean he couldn't be at some point, but he's clearly not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's probably like the 38th best quarterback in the league right now on a good day. So why not try with Nick Chubb coming back? Wouldn't it be great if you brought in Jameis and maybe he lit the team up? Maybe he gave him a spark or something. Like, why not give that a shot? Nothing else is working. Your offense is beyond awful. There is no defending what we're seeing on the offense from anybody. And the most important part of the offense is the quarterback. Your quarterback's not an NFL player, or starter. Deshaun Watson right now would be probably a pretty solid backup for an NFL team. So why would you not try to give a spark to the team if anything's possible? You have no chance to make the playoffs. The Browns are, you know how when a political party has a talking point that everybody in the political party goes in line and says those same bullshit talking points? That's what the Browns do. They all have the same bullshit talking points about, well, we've only lost to NFC teams. We haven't played in the division. What are you going to do in the division? Does anybody think they have a chance to have success in the division? What are they going, 2 games, maybe 3? Maybe they'll go 3-3 in the division. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Even if they do, they're not making the playoffs. They'd have to probably go 6-0 in the division, at least 5-1. And we get the same old from Stefanski. He says nothing. Nothing. He gives you nothing whatsoever. And now people like me are getting pissed because when they were winning, whatever, his nothing was fine. But yeah, Jake, I'm sick of we got to do better also. There's nothing. There's no changes. They're not changing the play calling. They're not changing the quarterback. They're not changing the system, whatever the fucking system they're running on. Every year we get told, oh, look at this offense is going to be better. And the offense is shit. Stefanski's not going to get fired. Listen, if you did, I do not think Kevin Stefanski should be fired. But like I said, I understand why people want him fired because they've played just terribly, just embarrassingly bad. So, Browns next week. We'll play the Bengals, as I said. Then after that, they're actually going to start playing teams that know how to play pass defense. Baltimore, the Chargers. Saints aren't any good. Sorry, Max. But then the Steelers, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Chiefs. So outside of the Bengals and New Orleans and then Miami late in the season, the rest of the teams you play this year have excellent pass defenses. And with the Bengals, you have to score. Now, Kevin Stefanski has done a good job against the Bengals. We know that. We'll see if it continues. The Bengals' offense has been great this year, even though they're 1-4. Their defense is maybe the worst in the league, probably the worst in the league, certainly worst 5 in the league. It's hideous. So even in 2 of the 4 games where you don't have to face a good passing defense the rest of the way, you have to outslug an offense. And Miami's not till the end of December. So after Cincinnati, you got 6 out of 7 games against teams that actually play pass defense, something you haven't done. Again, they've played 6 games. They have not scored 20 points. It's the most inept offense in a decade. The quarterback's not thrown for 200 yards, and you've played 6 of the 12 worst passing defenses. Wrap your head around that fact. Or those facts. And now, for the 7th week in a row next week, you're going to do it again. Will the Browns fight? If the Browns can't score 20, and trust me, folks, I've watched the Bengals play. Every Bengals, actually, I did not see the Panthers game, what game they beat the Panthers. But I've watched every other game they've played. Their defense is beyond trash. If they can't score 20, and maybe that's why Kevin Stefanski is going to give him one more chance, because maybe Stefanski's like, well, he's got to play well against the Bengals. They probably have the worst defense in the league. If Deshaun Watson, is that going to be the final straw? If he sucks against the Bengals defense, are you going to play him the week after against Baltimore? Well, Browns are coming home. 3 straight road games. Now they got 3 straight home games. Browns don't go back on the road to New Orleans on November 17th. 3 straight home games and then the bye. In fact, they only play 1 more road game between now and December. at New Orleans. That's it. So you'd think they'd have a chance to get some wins at home, but how could you feel like that at all? The Browns have not, 6 games in, the most passing yards they've had in a game, 196 by an individual player. Most rushing yards by an individual player, 64. Most receiving yards by an individual player, 86. So they have not had a 200-yard passing game. They have not had a 100-yard rushing game. They have not had a 100-yard receiving game in 6 games against terrible defenses. This is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. All right, folks. Thanks to you all for joining me, as always. Going to wrap it up here. This was sad and depressing. Tomorrow, hopefully, will be a lot of fun. I'll be back live following Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Probably about, the game starts 7:40, so maybe sometime between 10:30 and 11. I'll be back on live in the bullpen tomorrow. Don't know the pitching matchup is yet. We should find out some point today. You know what? Let me see if maybe it did. The news did come out here. Let me see if we've got any. Thank you. Okay. Oh, so they did. I hadn't seen that yet. Good job out of you, Z. So there you go. Alex Cobb. I said yesterday I thought they'd go either Cobb or Williams. I was hoping to see Williams. Maybe we'll see Williams in Game 4. Alex Cobb, who pitched Game 3 of the ALDS, he will start Game 1 of the ALCS. And Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Rodon pitched Game 2, I believe it was, of the ALDS for the Yankees. He was bad. He got smacked around once they gave him 5 runs. So that's Game 1 in the Bronx. Game 2 is it's going to be Garrett Cole for the Yankees, and I don't think they've officially announced Tanner Bybee yet, but it'll probably be Tanner Bybee. Here's the odds on the series. Yankee here at Bet Rivers. Yankees are a decent favorite, minus 215. I love the Guardians plus 170. Love them. Let me see if did I hit my in-game parlay, my same-game parlay with, on this Browns game? I got to look it up. I can't remember it. Same-game parlay. You know what? Here we go. No. Oh, yeah. Eagles money line. Good thing I didn't bet the spread. That's right. My Browns same-game parlay. Eagles money line, winner. A.J. Brown anytime touchdown, winner. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Now, guys, the quarterback anytime touchdown, if he doesn't have to run it in, right? A throwing touchdown counts for that. Feels like a stupid question. So I think I won. I think I hit my same-game parlay. So that's good news from this game. My Guardians-Tigers same-game parlay yesterday I did not hit. But I did hit my same-game parlay for Eagles-Browns today. Again, the final 20-16, Eagles over the Browns. Browns dropped to 1-5. If the season ended right now, the Browns at 1-5. Let's see. The Patriots are 1-5. The Jags are 1-5. So the Browns would have a top 3 pick in the draft. Although the Bengals could drop to 1-5 tonight. Carolina and the Rams also at 1-4. So, but right now at this moment, the Browns would have a top 3. I believe the tiebreaker is strength of schedule. In reverse. So if you're a bad record with the worst schedule, so if I think I'm right, but I'm not 100% sure. I believe if the season ended at this moment, the Browns would have the first pick in the draft because the 2 other teams that are 1-5 have played a tougher schedule than the Browns. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the Browns at this moment, long way to go. Not only are nowhere close to the playoffs, I believe would have the first pick in the draft. Oh, boy. All right, folks. Everybody have a great night. Like I said, I'll be on after Guardians-Yankees Game 1 ALCS tomorrow as the Guardians make their first appearance in the American League Championship Series since 2016. Hopefully they can get it done. Yankees a favorite, but I like the Guardians on the money line. Love the Guardians on the money line. I've got the Guardians winning a Game 7 in the Bronx. I predicted Guardians-Mets World Series. I'm standing by that. I have both the Guardians and the Mets winning a Game 7 on the road. Not easy to do. That's what I've got. And then the World Series will starts when, I think 12 days from now. I believe it starts on Friday, the whatever that is, the 25th maybe. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Z and Max for producing. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll also be on UCSS tomorrow. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.